Hi everyone, and welcome to today's live webinar on the topic of the hour in retail, Agentic AI. I'm Lavina Sidendran, Head of Marketing at RetailWire, and I'm thrilled to host this very timely and important discussion on how Agentic AI is disrupting the retail landscape. To explore this, I have with me two industry experts, Raju Katadi, Vice President at IBM Technology Sales, Retail and Consumer Products, and Veronica Moya, AI Productivity Leader on IBM's Watson America's GTM team. Welcome, everyone.
Thanks, Lavina.
Awesome. Glad to be here.
Good to have you. Can you both briefly introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your work in this space?
Yeah, maybe I'll go first. So, like Lavina mentioned, my name is Raju Katadi. So, I lead our technology business for our retail and consumer products teams. And essentially, myself and my team, our measure of success is to help retailers and consumer products leverage the full power of AI and Gen AI to really transform their business processes and, more importantly, drive the productivity and the impact of the bottom line that is so missing in the AI and Gen AI space.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, I'm Veronica Moyer. I'm a AI productivity leader on IBM's Watson X Americas team, focusing specifically on what we call Client Zero, which I'll expand on in a minute here. But overall, our team really focuses on taking IBM's success in our enterprise transformations in areas like HR, IT, procurement, and partnering with our clients to see how they can do the same in their business. So excited to get into it.
Brilliant, thank you. So Raju, to kick things off and really set the scene for everyone, could you walk us through what exactly Agentic AI is? How is it different from the chatbots and virtual assistants that retailers are already very familiar with?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pertinent question. It'll help frame the conversation, right? So all of us are familiar with the chatbots, then you got the assistants, then you got the agents, and now you got the agentic AI framework. So it's all in a continuum, right? And it's not to say that one is better than the other. Each of them have specific use cases that they're really, really good at. Especially in the retail context. So maybe just a couple of minutes on the differences so that we are framing it correctly. So think of chatbots as something we all are used to. So think of chatbots. I think the best example I can give is like a snack vending machine, right? So the snack vending machine has snacks inside. So those are, think of it as scripted responses. And then you got the small dial where you press a query and then you get a response, right? So that is your query and then response. So the chatbots are essentially very scripted to give specific responses to specific questions. They do not learn, they do not have contextual information, but in most cases, they're very cost effective, very efficient, and might do the job, right? So that's your chatbots. Now, when you look at assistants, you can look at three or four dimensions in which they differ from chatbots. So from a complexity perspective, they are more complex. They understand context. From learning perspective, they are self-learning. And then personalization, chatbots, hardly any. In the case of an assistant, you've got a lot more personalization. And then there is integration, right? For a chatbot or an assistant to be effective, it has to integrate to the backend. An assistant is far more integrated to multiple applications. So now you've got the assistants, you got the chatbots, assistants, and now look at agents. So the best way to think about agents is think of it like a self-driving car, right? So you ingest a destination, right? You tell your Tesla or whatever you drive and say, I want to go to XYZ place. So that it ingests the destination and it figures out how to maneuver within the environment based on all the sensors deployed in the car. So an agent inside an enterprise, think of it like that, right? It is knows what outcome it has to deliver. It navigates through. What's going on in my mind is the matrix, right? It navigates through an enterprise applications, picks the ones that it wants, ingests the data, figures out what the environment is, makes some decisions, and gives the outcome. So that's how an agent works. And the agentic framework is orchestrating all of these agents, right? We are envisioning an environment where you'll have hundreds of maybe thousands of agents, right, in an enterprise. Now somebody has to orchestrate this to make sure it's not chaos, right? So that's the agentic framework, which actually manages, governs, controls, and ensures these agents are delivering the outcome that we all want, all our retailers want, all our consumer product companies want. Hope that helps.
That really, really sets the sort of framework, like you mentioned. So Going on to the next question, with Walmart making headlines for rolling out 1,000 AI super agents, transforming customer experience and store operations for over 1 million employees, while Delta states its AI pricing uses only aggregated data for fair recommendations and denies using personal data or individual pricing. Can you discuss two things from this? Firstly, what exactly are Walmart's AI super agents? How do they work? And what do you think will move? What do you think this move will deliver real value for Walmart and its customers? And secondly, what lessons should retailers take away about both the opportunities and the governance risks of deploying agentic AI at scale?
Yeah. It's a very timely. I mean, this Wall Street Journal article, I think it was titled "Walmart is overhauling its approach to AI agents," that kind of caught fire, right? So two observations from my perspective, and Veronica, would you can chime in and add your perspective too. So when I look at my set of clients, retailers and consumers, we've clients on either end of the spectrum. You got Walmart, which has got hundreds, thousands of agents in production. And you, on the other end, have got other clients who don't even have one agent in production, right? So the disparity is huge. Now, Walmart has a lot of resources, engineering talent, and therefore they are the first mover, and you can actually see that in their results. So if you look at, that's one. The second one is, how did this happen, right? In the sense, so agents need domain specific taxonomy. They need to integrate to those applications that are in that domain to give those values. So if you're an internal employee, you might, and you need to do your work, you'll interact with finance, you'll interact with HR, you'll interact with procurement. And so you could have agents for doing those specific works. Now, as an employee, you probably don't need to know which agent to go for what, right? And so you can easily, for an enterprise the size of Walmart and many others, you can easily see a scenario where people have built agents for specific domains, and that creates what I would call an agent sprawl, right? And me as Raju or Lavina or Veronica wouldn't know, hey, which agent do I go for what? So that's where the concept of a super agent comes in, right? A super agent comes in and says, I ask that agent, hey, I need to do X, Y, Z. The agent goes to a particular specific domain specific agent, executes a transaction, comes out with an answer. So if I kind of want to bring it to life, let's say, Lavina, like you have Ask Retail Wire as your super agent, right? And then you want to say, hey, how many leaves have I taken this year? How many leaves are left? So you'll ask your Ask Retail Wire super agent. That will go and maybe ask and have an Ask HR agent that executes that transaction, brings you back the result. And you want to know, hey, how much of my marketing budget have I spent to date? And then you have a marketing agent. So you ask your super agent, that will go back, that will trigger a marketing agent and gives you back an answer. So that's probably how the concept of super agents, you can call it different names like agent of agents, manager of managers. There are different clients using different names, but that's the way I would think about it. And Veronica, anything you would like to add here, right?
Yeah. First of all, I love the term that you used, agent sprawl, because that's something that I think we're starting to see a lot pop up in not only this industry but across all AI enterprises. So that's not only a suboptimal landscape from a technology perspective when you have all these disparate experiences living in different UIs and different data centers and different sources, but also for the user. So Raju, to your point, I shouldn't have to know which agent I need to interact with to get my task done. Employees and customers, they just want to be able to complete their tasks. So when you have something like this supervisory agent that can route on your behalf and call on the right tools, that's really key there. So I love that Walmart is really leading in this space in the industry, and I'm excited to watch the different results that they'll release and how this goes.
How might agentic AI empower retailers to deliver on their brand promise with more consistency? Can you share a few examples from your experience and your current projects in this space?
Yeah, I can take that one first. So at IBM, we always say if we're going to spend 1 minute of our time, it better be delighting our clients. I'm sure for retailers, they all have the same goal, right? So about 4 years ago at IBM, our CEO, Arvind, he gave us a challenge and said, in order to see the results in the free cash flow growth that we really needed to see, we have to go through a full transformation. So how we did that is we had our own technology platform, our watsonx platform at the center, at the core. So that's what we call our client zero story, is how we've used our own technology first as client zero, to see some pretty significant productivity savings along the way. And by using that technology and, adopting this transformation, it really created what we call a flywheel for growth. So as we get to, save time and, cut different applications we don't need anymore, that actually allows us to reinvest back into the business and deliver better service. So for retailers, it's the same thing where there's a lot of opportunity. I think what we like to say is automate the boring stuff to give more time back to do the value add work that's really going to drive that growth.
So I'll probably give to add to what Veronica said, I'll give an example from a retail perspective, right? So from a retail and consumer products companies, the brand promise is dependent on like 5 or 6 specific areas: store experience, merchandising, product design, customer care, digital commerce, and then in the overall marketing and customer experience. So these are the areas which are living up to the brand promise they are making to their end customers. Now we did a study with a lot of senior executives and retailers, and we find that about 75 to 90% of them are going to invest in AI and AI agents to improve their brand promise. So let me bring this to life with an example with a grocer that has used AI agents to help their associates improve associate productivity and at the same time improve customer experience. And this is specifically in a use case on buy online and pick up in store, right? Which we all do all the time. So basically, what they do is they have an agent which collates orders from multiple baskets that people have placed and creates an optimized route for the store associate to walk through the store to pick up the products and the produce and others to fulfill a shopping cart. So we've seen productivity between 10 to 20%, right, vis-a-vis the normal process they used, with helping this agent that actually dynamically creates that. So the store associate productivity is improved. When you look at the customer now, instead of getting, picking up the order 1 hour later, might be able to pick up the order from the store 45 minutes or 30 minutes, right, from the time he or she has placed the order. So there's improvement in customer experience. So what it does is, by using AI and AI agents specifically for associates and consumers, there is an improvement in associate productivity, which drives bottom line, improvement in customer experience, which drives NPS and therefore revenue, and then you have a solid impact both on the top line and on the bottom line. And this is especially true where grocers in high traffic areas on high traffic days, agentic AI is real in production and driving these benefits.
For business enabling areas like staffing, merchandising, or training, what breakthroughs have you seen with agentic AI that weren't possible with traditional automation?
Yeah. So staffing is an interesting aspect in retailers, and especially with, I can't believe the holidays are just coming around the corner, right? So everyone's going to ramp up staffing. Now, in the past, you would have seen there are models, right? Predict staffing, etc. But there are a lot of handoffs between, how staffing is determined in stores, and most of the time it's still tribal knowledge with the store manager, right? He or she knows how that particular store works in that locality, and therefore I did XYZ last year. This is what I would do. Now let's take what happens if you bring agentic AI. People are doing that. So there is the ability to do predictive workforce planning, right? So AI agents can use historical data upon employee turnover, promotions, performance, forecasts, and then will give you more accurate workforce needs by shift, right? So which is very different. Now the agent can help, therefore, a lot of the HR teams and hiring to hire specific to a store in a particular geography and flex that, right, depending on the store and the surrounding areas and the catchment area. Now, this is not new, right? People have been trying to do it. What agentic AI does is it actually reduces the handoffs between one department to the other, right? So the store manager is not talking to 5 people and saying, hey, you give me the forecast, you give me this, you give me that, and let me consolidate and come. The agent does it for him or her. And that's a tremendous amount of, you shrink the time to acquire people, or hire people rather, and improve the productivity overall. So that's a very, I would say, a powerful use case, and we'll see a lot of retailers deploying that this holiday season, and even Halloween, right? You've seen a lot of those stores pop up during Halloween and then disappear at the end of the season, right? That is like a very, very, 1 month, right? That's it. So you could see that being used there. Same thing in talent acquisition, right? How do you make sure that um, in most big retailers there is multiple groups who are responsible for hiring, and there is a workflow, and there are people to sign. Now, if you have policies in place and you have an agent, that whole thing, you crash the barriers and reduce the time. So staffing is one, I think. um, we'll see a ton of use of agentic AI. um,
Veronica, would you like to sort of step in there
Yeah.
as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is a really great question. Just given my background in the enterprise AI space within IBM, I'll give an example of a use case where we're actually using an agent in the HR space. Liviana, you mentioned training. So, of course, that's super important to Raju's point as well in the retail space. But IBM, we manage 11,000 classes every single year. So, what our learning and development team have actually done is they use an AI agent that actually intelligently manages learning class capacities. So an agent will automatically surface classes with low enrollment rates and then auto promote or even cancel and consolidate classes based on the certain data points that it registers. So this actually saves our learning event managers 16,000 hours. And this action taking and task completion is something that goes beyond, the traditional automation and chatbots of the, early 20 teens. And this is something that's only possible with this action completion in the agentic AI space. So, and this type of optimization, I think, isn't something you typically think of when you think of AI, but it's a process that our teams were spending thousands of hours on, and it's really a non-value add, just optimizing the different class capacities, but that now enables them to spend more time doing the work that actually matters. So, I think thinking of use cases like that in the retail lens is really key for leaders in this space.
In supply chain operations, as shown in the Client Zero example, where has agentic AI delivered quantifiable results? What KPIs or business metrics have improved most significantly? Veronica, I'll go to you for that one.
Yeah. And you see me smiling because I love this question, and it's something that we bring into every conversation with clients is what is the actual business value from this technology? Just as an industry as a whole, we're moving away from this initial experimentation phase and what we call the whiteboarding phase. And we're moving into, okay, where are the use cases we can prioritize that will actually return the most value? So in the supply chain space specifically, I think a lot of people look at IBM as largely a desk-based workforce and an IT company, but we actually have for the best part of 100 years delivered technology infrastructure and things like mainframes that power the world. So that means creating, shipping, and fulfilling out of 6 different sites globally. So IBM went on a journey a few years ago to really reinvent and rethink the way that we operate our supply chain to become more proactive and more resilient to change. So, I mean, and as we all know, we've seen an uptick in the amount of natural disasters and the global pandemic in recent years, and that's caused a lot of disruption in many enterprises' supply chains. So we realized that we could actually apply AI to surface insights and instantly answer questions that our teammates have about part numbers and order status, surface potential risks. And this all pulls in from 20 different ERPs and data sources. And when you talk about results, we've seen 316 million in cost savings across the past 3 years by things like optimizing our shipping and reducing inventory costs. And we actually hit 100%. We've maintained 100% order fulfillment, even in the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic. So really shifting as a whole from being less reactive and more proactive and data driven has been really key for us.
As organizations transition from traditional or generative AI to more autonomous agentic systems, How could they address the heightened governance, regulatory, and ethical challenges such as accountability, policy alignment, and customer protection to prevent failures like Air Canada chatbot incident, where incorrect automated advice led to legal liability? Raju, I'll go to you for that one first.
Yeah, no, this is see, the technology is all great, right? I mean, agentic AI, the agents actually drive a ton of productivity. But when you look at any brand, any consumer brand, the fundamental basis is trust, right? You or I will shop at a place that we trust, and it takes years for brands to build that trust, and one agent, one rogue AI agent, to dilute that trust in a matter of seconds or minutes, because that would go viral right away. So there is a lot of I would say, in my mind, I don't think a lot of companies are looking into this angle in a serious way, right? Which is why you see some of these incidents come across, and then there is a lot of damage control. So, in a study we did, we found that less than 25% of executives are actually implementing the governance structures that are necessary to manage their AI models. And AI models and AI agents, right? They can hallucinate, there could be privacy breaches, there could be fairness and bias, can't be there can be explainability, transparency. All these are issues with AI agents because the underlying model, the data that is used to train them, etc., are all different. So the need of the hour is, whether you like it or not, every company will have a number of agents. We'll come back to the concept of agent spot. So now, how do you make sure that all of these agents are working to deliver the brand promise that your brand stands for, right? And that's the governance framework. And right now in the market, I think we as IBM are the only company with an end-to-end capability to provide holistic governance across all the models that you use, right? So that you're actually creating strict governance parameters, you are managing the models for drift, you're looking at bias, and that would avoid having, so you will know at any point of time, the dashboards are so simple, you will know any point of time whether one of your agents is misbehaving, right? or is hallucinating. And so it's phenomenal to see that in action. And I'm thinking that this would be something that every brand, people have not taken it seriously, but as you see these incidents happen more frequently, then it is imperative for brands to actually have a governance framework in place, and that would ensure that they continue to keep the brand promise and consumers spend their dollars with them, right? So that's I think now with recent incidents that you mentioned, Lavina, I think it's now back in the forefront. I'm seeing a lot of our clients asking us, "Hey, how do I prevent this from happening?" And my company being in the press or going viral on Twitter or TikTok or what have you, right? And there is technology available today to do exactly that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I was just going to add, I think that's great. And I think a lot of times when people think about governance, a lot of times there is this negative connotation and that's this big scary thing. And it is a very serious topic because there are legal ramifications. But a way that our team has also started to think about governance, especially in the world of agents, is that how it can be an actual value add and accelerator. So a typical perception of compliance is that it slows down innovation. But when you have an AI governance process in place that's trustworthy, tested at enterprise scale, has your company's policies built in, you can deploy AI and push models out and use cases faster. And your developers and data scientists, they don't have to manually monitor these metrics and delay deployment time. So that's really what we've been seeing, is that it doesn't necessarily always have to have this negative piece to it. It's actually is an exciting thing for us. That's it's actually accelerating our innovation.
Can you share a success story where agentic AI improved workforce enablement, and such as onboarding temp workers or optimizing in-store operations beyond what legacy systems could achieve?
Yeah, maybe an example that comes to mind for me is um, especially during the summer, a lot of the retailers hire a lot of high school students, right? And when these students come on the shop floor or on the store front, they need somebody to actually walk them through the paces and say, how do you do your job? And often I noticed like when you walk around the stores, you'll find some of the senior persons in that store or like more experienced people are actually taking this group of trainees around. Hey, this is where the produce is. This is where you pick things. This is how you answer questions. All of that. Now imagine, and if you take a step back and look at it, in that particular store, you're taking your most experienced person to train a set of high schoolers who are doing their summer jobs, right, in the store. So, is there a better way to do it? And the answer is yes, right? The entire generation is, they work very well with phones. So, I've seen a lot of our some of our customers actually building those. I would call they've got cute names, right? Ask Ted or Ask XYZ, and basically targeted to agents targeted to these temp workers, right? Summer interns and others, saying, "Hey, this is how the store is laid out," so they can actually walk with their earphones on, with a device, either their personal device, and the agent is actually walking them through exactly how the store is laid out, what are the typical questions customers ask, and that dramatically improves their productivity because they are able to consume the data more. And in the past, like my son went to was doing a summer job. It took him 1 week to figure out where the lettuce is, right? In a grocery store. Now, they can finish it out in an hour or two, right? Because the agent is helping them. So imagine the productivity that you can get from a summer intern in your store by using an agent.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that. Of course, in the retail space, the onboarding and hiring in a dense labor market is sometimes the difference between success and failure. And having the right people at the right jobs at the right time is a competitive differentiator. So at IBM too, we deployed an AI agent that we call Start at IBM. So it does things like nudging onboarding employees about their training or pre-hire documentation, tasks they need to complete, ordering equipment, laptops. So all of that happens before they even join the company. So we can actually shorten the gap between their day zero and day one. And our employees are up to speed with, how our company works. They're already using this agent, and they know that this is a great experience, and they're ready to hit the ground running and actually using AI before they even start the company. So that's just to take that example and, give a more IBM lens of how we're really thinking about onboarding and training.
I wish I had that agent when
I
I
know.
joined IBM, right? 15
Yep.
years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a pretty great experience now. Yeah.
From IBM's perspective, how do you see agentic AI evolving the customer journey by 2026? What should retailers do now to prepare?
Yeah. See, the adoption of any technology like agentic AI ultimately depends on, is it impacting the business, right? That's the fundamental thing. If it is impacting the business, adoption will be faster. And so we did a few studies, and then so 2 data points that'll help, right? Operating profits improvements in retailers, and it's a cross-industry survey that we did through our IBM Institute of Business Value. In 2022, they were estimating it to be about 2.4%, right? The impact of AI on operating profit. In 2026, it is estimated to be 7.7%, so 3x. Okay, so there is real operating profit improvement, right? 3x operating profit. Now, once clients saw this, then if you look at how much are they going to change their spending on AI and AI agents? So AI investment as a percent of IT, if I remember correctly, in 2023 was around 8.4%, roughly 8.4% on average. And 2026 is going to be 19.8%. So that's going to double. So you're actually seeing the results in the operating margin, which is driving the investments, and it is now going to be a virtual cycle. So what this means for retailers and the consumer industries and industries across the board is everyone is thinking of augmenting their workforce with AI, right? Like I'm doing my job with the help of an assistant. Veronica is doing her job with the help of an assistant. That makes us a whole lot more productive. And it is not just restricted to one function. It is across functions, right? Brand defining areas, the stores, commerce, operations. Think about brand enabling areas, which is your supply chain, production, manufacturing, and even the corporate IT functions, right? Corporate functions, IT, HR, finance. So I think it's now getting to a point that whether you're a small retailer, a large retailer, it does not matter. You have to be, whether you're in either end of the spectrum, the example we had in the beginning of the discussion, those who have not started on an AI journey need to do it now in all caps, right? Because your competition is doing it, and everyone's driving phenomenal amount of productivity for their workforces by using AI. So we see, I think, the phase of acceleration of AI, because now you can correlate deployment of AI to real tangible business benefits. And maybe one data point from an IBM perspective, this is something um, which we tell our investors, so it is not an internal statement. We've actually deployed AI to drive about $3.5 billion of run rate productivity in 2024. By end of this year, we're going to have a run rate productivity of $4.5 billion. This is not numbers. This is numbers, not numbers for the sake of numbers. This is when our CFO stands and tell us investors. It is audited by our auditors. It is documented, so we know exactly how it is driving. So if a company like IBM, we're 114 years young, can drive $4.5 billion, then imagine what everyone else can do, right?
Yeah. I'll just add to that too. I think the customer journey will actually end up being a lot more human with the introduction of this technology. And yeah, it's ironically, I think this will come with the involvement of technology like agentic AI. So by adopting more of this autonomous technology to automate more of the mundane, we can actually focus our store associates in the retail space on doing what is more uniquely human and valuable, which is to be in front of customers, providing excellent customer service and experiences. So just looking at the my boss loves this example, so I'm going to tell it. But the Selfridges model. So Harry Gordon Selfridge invented this concept of window dressing and optimizing the in-store experience. I was in London recently and experienced this firsthand. So when you have less friction from an operations experience, and store associates aren't spending time in the back office figuring out more of the manual tasks around IT or some of these other processes, they're actually spending more time delighting their customers up front in the store. And also from a strategic planning perspective, that's really where the value can be added there. So and I think just as some advice on how to begin, I would say what we tell all our clients is to just get started and start small. So yeah, we at IBM have hit 3.5 billion in run rate savings, but that doesn't mean that all came at once. That was all from hundreds of different use cases across our whole enterprise. So I would say, start small with one or two use cases that, start with the most painful process in your company today, that will deliver the most ROI and value, and then go from there and expand.
Thank you. And I love that example. I am from London, so I love Selfridges. And
Amazing.
So thank you, Raju and Veronica, for sharing such invaluable insights. And thank you to everyone for joining us and getting involved in the conversation. On behalf of Retail Wire and IBM, we appreciate your participation and questions. Look out for our replay, as if you did miss any point of this discussion, you can catch up there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lavina. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks all.